4B movement.
The 4B movement.
The 4B movement. So what is it?
The 4B movement is trending again, and I want to talk about this and break it down in a more realistic and relatable context. Because it's also true that the Match Group, who owns all the dating apps, their stocks plummeted the other day in a skyrocketing number. Because yes, the 4B movement itself is probably just a passing fad or buzzword for many people. But for many of us women, and I think the reason that this frequently trends at such a skyrocketing level, general themes of it are very much so our reality. Before we proceed, if you're not aware, the 4B movement is like a movement that started in a smaller group of radical feminists over in South Korea that grew and gained a lot of attention a while back. Which, yes, it had internally a lot of problems and phobia issues that were rampant in South Korea. But since then, it has been co-opted by the internet and internet washed into just a phrase for generally boycotting men, dating, marriages, etc., the whole 9 yards. And whatever that means to you. Because a lot of women in this country woke up and saw stuff like this trending due to recent events that I won't get into again. And just decided, you know what, opting out of men altogether sounds pretty good right now. But here's the reality of it and the long term for why the internet keeps returning back to this whole 4B phrase. Because I personally do whatever I can to not identify with groups to avoid the whole groupthink thing. So I didn't even know 4B was trending again when I decided to make my own personal mindset switch here. But the sad reality of it is that I'm not someone who's ever personally seen myself as needing a family and children, right? I love what I do. I love my life currently. I love my career. And if I just kept doing this forever, I would be quite happy. But I was 25 earlier this year and I was living my post-college, kind of entering more into my adult life and realizing if that's something I wanted to explore, I should start exploring that soon. Because, you want to date someone for a few years, you want to be married for a few years before you have kids, and then you introduce that. So it is quite the process of trial and error. So earlier this year, I downloaded all my dating apps again, right? And I started here and there, going on some more casual dates to just start testing the waters. But I was still at a point where I was technically my bare minimum for ever even wanting to have children is that I want to be able to afford a house first, right? Because if I can't afford a house that those kids can live in, I don't feel like I can afford to raise those kids in the way I would want. But then as I started working, of course, with all this stuff in the last few months and reading more about the policies coming out on the left, I started getting excited, right? In that policy document that I guess no one decided to read, the left was offering child tax credits. They were offering lower taxes to everyone in the middle and lower classes, tax credits to people who were first-time home buyers, all this stuff that started to make me realize that this might actually all be a conceivable lifestyle for me to put back on the table. And it was really exciting. So I went and downloaded Hinge again, and I started talking to these two guys actually that I really liked. And they're both ironically identical in nature, which is probably why I vibed with both of them so well. But it's sadly not often anymore that you meet a 29, 30-year-old man who can keep a really good conversation and that you just vibe and feel comfortable with. So I was getting really excited about all of this. And we were traveling a ton for work. So yeah, both of us get the vibes. Our lifestyles are very flexible and chaotic. So I'll just plan the date for Thanksgiving when we'll both be back in town with our families. And you know that I hate to ever over-romanticize men, but I was really letting myself run to Lulu because I was this is too good to be true. Could this be forever right here? Could this actually, is there a world where I actually, me, that seems totally off the table for me. Me getting along with a man, I'm sorry, who are you? And then that fateful day in November hit, where all of us women had to start evaluating the course of our lives going forward and the utter uncertainty. Especially as someone who comes from a family who has a lot of pregnancy issues. We always manage to with modern medicine, but take modern medicine out of the equation, and I don't know if I can risk that. Now, the first man, who was a moderate, who always swore he leaned left, saw how upset I was by the results and ghosted me. And I fear we know what that means, but luckily bullet dodged, I guess. Don't worry, at bare minimum, I will officially no longer be entertaining moderates, if any men at all. But the other man, he's been checking in on me, right? Seeing how I'm doing, all green flags, so very sweet, so very kind. That's a good man, right? But then suddenly, in our friend group chat, I get sent some posts that he had posted, and my friends go, "Hey, is this your man?" And I go, "The fuck it is not, no." And I send them to him, and I go, what is this? I'm sorry, what? Is there any explanation you want to try and even attempt to wiggle out of this with? And of course, with full shame, he reads it and he goes ghost. He says nothing. No explanation. He is gone. Both of these grown men, one of them I've known for many months now, who have always seemed very safe and like decent grown men to me, have managed to prove in a matter of just a few hours their true colors now. So do I know what I'll personally be doing going forward at this point? No. Probably not reopening the dating apps anytime soon, honestly, but in a long-term sense, no idea. But it should be of zero shock to anyone why all of these women have collectively decided that they no longer want to play the world's weirdest long con game of, is this man completely lying to me for months or years on end, or am I actually safe? And to all the men on the right who keep laughing and jokingly saying, yay, you've taken yourself out of the dating pool, we won't have to deal with blue women anymore, the joke is on you because we did the math here the other day. If you take out the women on the left, all 25 million of you left in like the main dating pool age demographic right now are going to be stuck fighting over roughly 13 million girls. And that's not even taking into account all the women who are already married in relationships or will obviously never be able to look past your general personality. So good luck, Charlie.